Hey guys, what's up? Today I thought we'd do something a little different. I wanted to go over my favorite part of storytelling, which is the villains. My friends have told me, I'm very appreciative of this compliment, but I have been told that one of the things I excel at is villains. So, one thing that I figured I would do is kind of keep to the spirit of the channel and talk about tabletop RPGs. So today we are going to kind of go over all that stuff while playing Power Wash Simulator. I've been wanting to play this game for a while. I got to see a couple playthroughs of it, but let's just jump in here. Gotta keep hydrated. Let's see. We're gonna start our career. So, let's see. Okay, so it'll walk me through it, I assume. So, first up, I want to go over who my five villains I'm going to talk about today are. So, they are called what's called the Rotthold Five. So they are 5 people who are in Rotthold, which is a Exandrian town. Yeah. So basically, they rule this pirate town. Ooh, that's really loud. Hang on a minute. A little quieter. They rule this pirate town known as Rotthold, and I've taken some pretty creative liberties with this town. I took inspiration from the world that Matt Mercer has created with Critical Role. I really wanted to write some villains who were what I felt was like the worst of humanity. Something that I felt was like truly what I despise, and I think that's really the important part of any villain, is to have villains that you not only that you hate, but like people in your party hate. Let's see, let's turn these down a little bit. Sorry. But it's important to really make the villains the focus of your campaign, I think, because in order for your heroes to really shine, to like rise to the occasion, they have to be challenged by, you know, who they're working up against, who they're like standing against. And to me, like, people like really exhibit their values and their inner strength by what they stand against. And when you have a good villain, that really brings those attributes out. So I really set out to really shine a light on the absolute like worst of mortal kind that I can think of, at least in like the premise of it. So going through them, I'll kind of go through each one individually. So the first one I want to talk about is Jericho. Jericho is a Aasimar. He was a bard, specifically a Whispers bard, and he kind of came as an idea, as basically I thought of like all those guys who just cannot take like any rejection and couldn't take no for an answer, thought way too highly of themselves, and people in general who just assumed that they were the focus of the world in everyone else's expense. And that's where Jericho came from. His involvement in the campaign was basically he had kidnapped the party's chieftain, because the chieftain's wife was somebody, basically years ago, some knight owed him money. And the only way he could reconcile that debt was to give him his daughter. Her name was Kaina. And Kaina was destined to go marry Jericho. Well, she said no. She outright refused. And, of course she would. That's fucking awful. But basically, he forced her. He had someone go get her. And she escaped. Well, 20 years later, he found out that she had married somebody else, and he couldn't deal with that. And so he set out to go take the husband and make her come to him. The husband, unfortunately, was a very formidable chieftain of the Kryn dynasty. And the rejection really shaped his worldview of, if you want to be in control, you have to be ruthless and make sure people know that you mean business. And so he became essentially I would say, closest thing I think of is like a police chief of Rotthold. So he would be in charge of the enforcement. As close as you can get in like a slaver town, It's basically, people who make sure the slaves are complying and making sure there's not too much murder and mayhem in the city. There are semblances of laws and things like that, but, not in the heavy sense. And so the way the party interacted with him was our party's druid Tez, who's like a combination of like Miss Frizzle meets like Peter Capaldi's doctor meets like Doc Brown. Like he's like he loves fungus, and keeps bodies in barrels to understand the decomposition of undead and things like that. Like, is an interesting little character, but Tez tried to infiltrate Jericho's house and got caught. And Jericho put him under a Geas, Geas, G-E-A-S, and to go retrieve something from another Rotthold Five's leaders. There's a removal event. Wait, I missed it. I was going to read that. Okay. But eventually, his plans were thwarted, and he was killed. But basically when he was a kid, his kind of like mythos was that he always felt himself important because he was told by everybody that being an ASMR, he was destined for great things, and he was always told how much of like his voice would inspire others and make them just want to be around him and things like that, and that really like went to his head. And it sort of shaped his worldview that if he couldn't talk somebody into something, then is impossible. And with the rejection of Kaina, that sort of like cemented the idea in his head that if he couldn't convince somebody, then he would force them. And that comes from that idea of a lot of guys, when they get told no, they think that's an invitation to just push harder, to like give into the chase. And I've always hated that. Don't get me wrong, like as a person, you kind of grow up with that point of view and think that's just how you do things, and it's not. And so I really wanted to kind of highlight that with Jericho. So yeah, that's him. The next one was Jasper, and Jasper is a green dragonborn gunslinger. And for those of you who know Critical Role, a dragonborn a lot of them come from the city of Draconia, which flies, until it was knocked out of the sky by a white dragon, by the name of Vortigall. Ooh, that's some greasy shit. And they had slaves, so they had two types of Dragonborn, which was ones with tails and ones without. And the ones without tails were seen as subservient. Jasper had a tail, and he used to be a taskmaster for those slaves. And when that went down, he kind of lost his purpose, because not many people in other civilizations in the world welcome the idea of slavery. So he kind of like lost his career in that way. And he kind of sought out a new purpose in Rotthold, which accepted those things. And Jasper was ruthless. Jasper kind of represented the idea in humanity that if you could put your boot to someone's head, that it makes it okay. Basically, like, people need to fight back if they want to get out of stuff. Like, I hated that idea of just like cruelty. And that's where he kind of got his inspiration from. Man, you gotta be thorough on this shit, huh? Damn, 98% clean. Okay, so we can rotate stuff. Let's do... Oh, the mirrors. There we go, 99%. And Jasper was in charge of the docks, basically the ship fleet in the Rotthold repertoire. So he really was just like, you know, he would, if you walked in front of him, he would shoot you in the knees and tell you to move. Like, he was just a horrible person. And the party tried to infiltrate his house, and that ended up being a mistake because he had set a bunch of traps in his house. And how do I crouch? There we go. When the party set off the traps, he is not the person you really want to be sneaking into their house and trying to like steal from them. What am I missing here? Where am I missing? Oh, tire. No? And Jasper was basically the type where if you upset him, he had no problem killing you. And so he ended up taking the life of our Aormaton, or Warforged, who was an artificer. He killed him. He permanently killed him. That was a difficult thing to face as a party. Was that it? No? Damn it. What am I missing? Oh, tire. To do bumper. There we go. Okay, Grail. And so after he killed the party, or killed the artificer, the party was like devastated, and they went after him hard. He ended up dying because our bard Selenia, halfling lore bard, polymorphed him and turned him into a rabbit, and then shoved him in the bag holding, and he suffocated, which was a pretty good ending for him. Window. Windscreen. That's a weird thing to say. Windshield? I don't know. I never heard windscreen. Here we go. And that was a pretty epic end for him. I was really happy with that. There we go. And then tab. Now what? Hey, I love that. That is such a good time lapse. That's so satisfying. Look at that. Ooh, backyard. So that's Jasper. And like I said, Jasper was I guess the part of humanity that is just cruel, that, you know, domineers and just puts their boot on the neck of others. The next one was a dwarven fighter named Yuri Stonehardt. So he grew up in a place that, this is a bigger area. Let's start here with the fence. Yuri grew up in a very combative environment where, you know, you were forged in fire. Like, you faced every challenge you could possibly try to make yourself stronger. And then over the years, with many battles and many struggles, he developed this mentality that in order to prosper, you had to struggle. And that's where the inspiration for Yuri came from. Yuri was basically the Rotthold Five who controlled the arena known as the Strife Forge. Yuri began to worship the Crawling King, the god of jailers, slavers, and torturers, because he believed that the more humanity struggled, or mortal kind I should say, the stronger they became, the more they could overcome, and he believed there was nothing more sacred than that struggle. And so Yuri ruled the area with kind of his own strength. Kind of went along with the idea that if people would like to be free, they need to earn it. If you want to get out of this and get out of, poverty and enslavement, then get yourself out. And the party only really interacted with him in that he was in charge of holding Lehan, the husband of Kaina, captive. And he didn't really like that idea because he wanted to prove himself. He had not faced really much struggle and strife for years. And so he wanted to face off with Lehan because he believed that would prove what he's done. And let's go this way. Essentially, to him, it was dishonorable to keep Lehan there without giving him the opportunity to fight for it. Probably, unfortunately, one of the more honorable of the Rotthold Five that I came up with, because he had a semblance of a creed that he was willing to uphold. And he orchestrated a way for Lehan to be free because he wanted to see what would happen. He wanted to see how much strength he had. And he ended up dying at the hands of Lee Han in single combat, but yeah, Yuri was very much like, I got so tired of people telling me in real life that like suffering was essential for people to do well, that they wouldn't appreciate things unless you suffered, or they didn't earn peace unless they suffered. And I never liked that idea. I myself have, you know, suffered quite a lot, and I never feel that other people should have to endure the same thing in order to have a decent life. So I really wanted the party to like see that, like, that cruelty, and get an idea of, you know, the kindness within themselves to sum it up. You know, they saw this town, and one of the players had a character who came from Yuri's arena and earned her freedom, but never was satisfied with that. Like she had left people behind who didn't deserve to be left behind. Gotta say, this game is very relaxing, so satisfying. Now let's do the doghouse. Let's get their house clean. So, on to the next one was Shae Delorum. She was a wizard, and she was in charge of the city's brothels. Now, I'm going to preface this with, you know, I personally think that, like, sex work in general has its own, like, you know, legitimacy. This isn't like a reflection of my views on that whole situation, but Shae used it as a way to control people. Shae was so good at manipulating people that they believed that she took care of them. Like, she believed that that she could get them to believe that, you know, she cared about them, and that they wouldn't need to run or try to resist if they enjoyed their stay there. And she would give them everything that they needed, at least, like, aside from their freedom, and they wouldn't try to get away. They wouldn't try to ask for pay, you know, because they didn't need it. She gave them food, she gave them shelter, companionship with friends, and pretty much like a found family. Because, you know, in bad situations, you have to kind of find people to find kinship with when you're in those, like, horrible situations. Come on. Where's it at? No? There we go. Alright. Doghouse is clean. Shiny bowl. And Shae, actually, so her backstory that I don't think the players ever really got to, like, experience too much was she was the daughter of the wizard Trent Ickathon from the Cerberus Assembly, who in the campaign for Critical Role was very prominent. And so she grew up with this very oppressive father, and unfortunately she was just like him. Like, she even though she really didn't want to be under his thumb, she really inherited his ability to manipulate people through arcane means, and she was just as apathetic and honestly sociopathic, and that she didn't really understand that people weren't things to play with. And she ran away and found herself a place that she could use that. So she was an enchantment wizard. And how she interacted with the party was she convinced our bard, Selenia, that she was the better of the evils. Selenia and some NPCs that were involved, that were Selenia's friends, had escaped another bard named Merton, who basically kind of enslaved them in a way, kind of manipulated them. Let's see if I can get all the crevasses. And she convinced them that she would take care of them, and that they were safe with her and things like that. And she was just playing them. And that's where, unfortunately, the character did not really sense that betrayal, and so like it wasn't until after the city was liberated that she died, and it was revealed that she was not being genuine. And yeah, so like Shae was like the idea that people, you know, we think of like violence and things like that, but we don't always think that manipulation of others can be just as harmful as being hit. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Oh, you can go even lower. Dang. There we go, perfect. Yeah, Shae was just one of those, like, you know, you think of a villain and you don't normally think, like, oh yeah, they pretended to like me and pretended to be a friend. No, they're usually like the ones that like hit you and commit like violence and things like that to you. And I think that's where a lot of the differences in quality of villains, I think, is you got to explore the nuances of what really hurts people. You know, what can cause pain and suffering to people, because that's where people are gonna like really gravitate toward standing against these people. Shae was one of them that I felt like was something that really presented a danger that a lot of us can identify with. The next one is actually the person the party perceived to be the big bad evil guy of the campaign, which was Moordune. Moordune is a man at a time. So he was originally from Aor, an ancient city who had fallen years ago because the gods struck it down. And he was disillusioned with that because he saw both fault in the gods and humanity. Like, he felt like humanity definitely overstepped their bounds, but also the gods just put their hands in too many situations, I guess is the way to put it. And humanity just didn't know when to stop. Like, they would just rise so fast that they didn't realize that they were suffocating themselves. And so when the city fell, he was stuck in a stasis pod and stayed there for 2,000 years. And then one day was woken up by the artificer that I had spoken about earlier. When he woke up from his stasis, he released Moordune. And Moordune woke up to basically what he saw as a post-apocalyptic world. And was evidence of, how horrible things were and things that need to be changed. That need to be changed, I guess, is the best way to put it. And, yeah, he set out and found, basically he was looking for, relics and different... Is there any bigger nozzles? Oh, this is a little bigger. There we go. Get, a wide area. And so he kind of set out to find old things. It's like looking for old military bases once the world ended, like in Fallout, is the way I would look at it. And so he, back before the city fell of Eor, he was in charge of using undead to basically do the jobs that normal civilians were in danger of doing. So necromancy in a way that was a little less malicious, I guess. And so he used that to mine a bunch of very precious metals, and he was able to go into other planes and find very special... What's up? Do you do bikes? I could do with someone running their thing over my deadbeat dirt bike. Joe Average. Ha! I get it. And he realized that working with slavers was... You gotta have, a certain personality. And so he kind of cultivated this personality of dark and menacing, and he would use the bodies of fallen slavers or enslaved to pose as him as a persona, and would wear a mask, a hood, and just I'm the stereotypical necromancer kind of thing. But he was starting to cultivate a following of different people who were disillusioned with both civilization and the gods, to want to make change. And he ended up finding a very powerful orc known as Dalhan. And Dalhan had said to him that he had lost his position in the Jorhassian barons to somebody who took the leadership from him in a forceful manner, and spun him a tale of I was the victim, this is just another instance of humanity's folly. And man, this is taking a while. I think this one's not as good. Yeah, that's a little better. And so it turned out that Dalhan was a very brilliant strategist. He was able to really make himself essential to Moordune's plans. He would understand very well how to hit somebody very hard to where their strength would be offset. And he ended up putting himself into a position where he was indispensable. And Moordune trusted him with a lot, including his plans, the origins of his resources, his knowledge of a lot of things lost to mortal kind. Obviously, there were some things he didn't quite comprehend, but there was a lot that like he realized the potential to take over with. And Dalhan, who I think I need to make a video on his own, was somebody who wanted to challenge everything. Like, if something was better than him, he wanted to topple it. And not in a bravado, arrogance way. Like, he would acknowledge his weaknesses and want to take it down. So one day, when Moordune was confronting the party and had them where they wanted him, or he had them where he wanted them, he was speaking to them and trying to get them to see his point. And in that conversation, suddenly he was attacked. He had been stabbed through the middle by his own lieutenant Dalhan, who had been waiting for the opportunity to take over, to usurp everything Moordune had built and planned for his own purposes. And Moordune was killed. All this time, the party had thought Moordune was the true danger, and he was in a way, but Dalhan was there lurking and waiting to basically help Moordune build up everything that he wanted, so he could basically snatch it out from underneath him when he was at least expecting it. So yeah, those are my villains that I created. I think it's, like I said, very important to bring what you believe to the table when it comes to making, player characters, but also your villains. I would love to hear everybody else's villains that you have faced or created. Leave them in the comments. I want to hear everybody's ones that you love to hate, the ones that you'll never forget. I think it's important to really give yourself credit, or your team credit, for all the things that you or they have made. Because when your characters have to rise to the occasion, so do we. We end up really shining our virtue and showing off the best of ourselves in order to conquer these villains and everything that they are trying to stand for. So I hope everyone had fun. I really did. I am enjoying this new game. Definitely relaxing. Usually my playthroughs are like Resident Evil, where I'm running around crazy, screaming and trying to stay alive. But I thought I would try something where I could just chill and talk to you guys. So I appreciate you guys coming with me on my journey. If you haven't checked it out, the other host, my good friend Broken Mythos, he is currently doing a playthrough of Dark Alliance. So if you would like some Dungeons and Dragons action with him, go check that out. If you haven't checked it out, I got Resident Evil 7, 8, and 4. And then 2, 3, 4, and then 7 and 8 up. So I did all those playthroughs. But as usual, I'm the Gatman, and this has been Power Wash Simulator. And this has been me describing my wonderful ideas that I hope everyone has enjoyed. I worked really hard on these, so I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for listening, and as usual, try to do something that you love every week. Do something that that makes you feel better, at least an hour a week. And I hope to see you guys next time. I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.